Made in Heaven.
By the authority vested in me by the state of New York, I now pronounce you man and wife. You may kiss the bride.
Masquerade.
I just want to take a hot bath and smoke some grass.
I thought people usually smoked and washed after.
Well, you wouldn't want me to tense up, would you?
Cop. What do these three films have in common? Well, they're all movies you probably missed when they were playing in movie theaters. Most people did. But now you have another shot at them on home video. And that's the subject of this special edition of Siskel and Ebert, which we're calling Video Discoveries. Good movies a lot of people missed in the theaters. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. Now, anyone can give you a list of high-profile movies you should rent. Roger and I decided this week to try a different approach. We each picked 4 videos that were not popular on the big screen, but that we think are worth renting. So let's begin our mixed bag of 8 alternative choices with a film I really enjoyed, but was a complete bust-out commercially as a feature film. It's called Made in Heaven, a very sweet, offbeat love story between Timothy Hutton, playing a young man who has just died in an accident and gone to heaven, and Kelly McGillis as a new soul who was born in heaven and has never been to Earth. When McGillis is sent to Earth on her first mission, Hutton, very much in love with her, wants to follow her, and he gets a special leave in which he has 30 years to find her. The one big problem for him? Both of their memories have been erased. As strangers, they will have to fall in love all over again.
If you don't find her in 30 years, you'll never find her. Got it?
I'll find her, Emmett. I'll find her.
This is a charming, sweet, even religious film about love at first sight, about the notion of thinking about someone is akin to being with them. Made in Heaven was directed by the very talented filmmaker Alan Rudolph. It's a fine love story, a category of film that is pitifully in short supply. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, now that's the one that you can rent when you go to the video store, but I'm not going to rent that one because I didn't like it in the theater, and I still don't like it. I didn't like the fact that when they got to Earth, it turned into a much more mundane and routine sort of story. It was very, very fanciful and mysterious and interesting in all the scenes in heaven, and those are the ones I liked.
All right, well, there's
especially that uncredited cameo by Deborah Winger.
I know.
As a strange person up in heaven. I won't say any more than that.
Well, I think it's a better film than that, but go ahead with your pick.
Next movie, and one of the more successful movies on video in recent months has been Masquerade, a thriller starring Meg Tilly as an incredibly rich girl who falls in love with a social climber played by Rob Lowe. Now, you could call this movie Death Styles of the Rich and Famous. Tilly's mother has died, and so she lives in an incredibly luxurious mansion in the Hamptons with her malicious stepfather, played by John Glover. One day, Glover is shot dead, and no, I'm not giving away the plot, because that's only the beginning of the web of intrigue and deception that Meg Tilly finds herself trapped in. Everything centers on her reckless love for Rob Lowe.
Olivia, look at me. I have nothing. I have 3 pairs of topsiders, some foul weather gear. I mean, I don't even have a credit card.
Do you love me?
Yes, I love you. I just don't think we should get married yet. I have nothing to give to you.
This is the kind of movie where style means a lot. The rich visual look of the picture underlies the velvet cocoon that this young girl is trapped in. She has everything she wants except for safety, independence, someone to trust, and any knowledge of the situation that she's in. Meg Tilly plays the role in a sort of detached, dreamy way, and that's annoying at first until we realize it's part of the movie's strategy. She's drifting deeper and deeper into danger while we're mentally screaming at her to wake up and smell the coffee. The movie was directed, by the way, by Bob Swaim, who made that good Parisian cop thriller called La Balance.
I like this picture except for one element of it, which is why I can't recommend it, and that's Rob Lowe. I think you put another actor in that part, and I think you have a really good story. For me, I know he's supposed to play a slick, kind of sleazy guy, more slick than sleazy. I didn't think that he performed well. I know he's a very fashionable guy to knock, and I'm not trying to join the parade of knocking this guy. He just didn't carry the role for me.
That's funny. You see, I thought Rob Lowe was perfectly chosen because the whole deal is Meg Tilly chooses to marry this poor guy, and he works on the deck of the yachts that these people, these rich people in the Hamptons have. So that, in other words, he looks like the kind of slick, handsome guy with no money, but entree to the rich and famous that would try to get the hand of somebody like that. He's perfectly cast, I think.
I thought he looked like a guy who is a rich guy, and so I never bought him as a working class
but Gene,
guy.
appearances can be deceiving.
Well, that's right, but they didn't deceive me. I think he was miscast. Coming up next, 2 more recommended lesser-known videos. One, the story of a cop. The other, a long-distance love story.
To all at 84 Charing Cross Road, thank you for this beautiful book.
Continuing our special show on video discoveries, my next choice is a movie that was almost completely overlooked when it was first released, except by the critics who noticed it all right, because they hated it. The name of this movie is Cop, and it stars one of my favorite actors, James Woods, as a policeman who makes Dirty Harry look like a pacifist. If you're not familiar with Woods, now you might think that this movie was simply violent, perverse, and sick. Well, in a way it is, but what Woods does is he puts a sort of ironic spin on his performance that turns the whole thing into a very dark and perverse black comedy. On the trail of a serial killer who is working his way through a high school yearbook, Woods interviews Leslie Ann Warren, the class member least likely to succeed.
You have, believe me, no idea what this man is capable of. All you know is what you've created in your own fantasy.
Lloyd!
Whoever he is, Kathleen, he has this twisted, obsessive love for you that dates back to when you were in the same class together in high school.
Woods makes up his police technique as he goes along, and he doesn't throw away the rule book. He keeps it so he can find more rules to break.
Well, sir, look, the bad news is, what's his name over there is expired. The good news is, if you go in that Ford and wait just a few minutes, I could drive you home.
You mean and I won't be involved with any of this?
Like it never happened, okay?
There is a particular intensity in the performances of James Woods in all of his movies that always makes him interesting to watch. This guy is dangerous. You don't know which way he's going to move next. In Cop, he plays a character who goes totally out of control until the mass murderer almost seems normal by comparison. And in the movie's shocking last scene, he finds a way to surprise you, no matter how many cop movies you've seen.
I was a critic who liked the film.
I know you were,
and I think it's a very good film. I certainly recommend it. I think you're almost making a little bit too light of the film by calling it a black comedy. I took the thing as pretty much more for real than you're saying. There's a whole interplay with him and Charles Durning, who's an old-time boss.
Good performance.
Who does a very good, and they have a very interesting relationship because Durning knows that Woods' role is right, but Durning is too much caught up in the whole police system. And it's, you know, we've seen this whole thing of a corrupt policeman and going along and the young cop who is fighting the system. This is done in a much more gritty way and less of an artificial way. I think this is a very good film. Don't leave people think it's a comedy. I think it's a good thriller.
I think it has a perverse kind of comic element in it. You know what's interesting? This movie was directed by James B. Harris.
Yeah.
Not a name on everybody's lips. Do you know that that was the man who was Stanley Kubrick's first partner?
Right.
And they made The Killers, The Killing together.
That's right.
So that he goes back a long way in crime movies.
It's a very good film. My next pick is River's Edge, an unforgettable portrayal of teenage life, of adolescent uncertainty and lack of concern of young people almost cut off from normal emotions. It's a story about a bunch of kids who conspire to hide the fact that one of their classmates has murdered his girlfriend.
That's it? He murders Jamie and we just ignore it?
He had his reasons. She was shooting her mouth off about his mom.
His mother's dead.
Yeah. See?
He's got a couple loose springs when it comes to dealing with his dead mother.
But he comes to school bragging. It's like he wants to get caught.
Well, he's not going to get caught because no one's going to tell. Isn't that right, Tony?
And I would not.
But don't you think...
I think we should just quit talking about it because some potential thing could be listening. That's what I think, right, Tony?
Sure thing, man.
River's Edge is quietly shocking. You know, there's so many explicit horror films made about teenagers these days, but River's Edge is the most frightening of all. Why do these kids keep their deadly secret? Director Tim Hunter suggests that a diet of too much TV, there are all kinds of TV references in this film, that's the reality for them, the TV world, not the real world of a dead body on the lake, by the lake. And the breakdown of family values have left these young people morally numb. It's a frightening thought, compellingly told in River's Edge.
It is one of the most unforgettable films of recent years, and it was based on a true story, which never means anything because all movies are made up, in my opinion, especially the true ones. But the way that it portrays the way that these kids are faced with this overwhelming fact and are kind of able to dial it out. You know, it's almost like they're switching channels in
They
their
can't
mind.
tune, I'd put it the other way. They can't tune into it.
Yeah, they don't know that it's there, or they don't know that it's there in any way that the rest of us would connect with.
Yeah, people wonder, you know, if there's such a thing as sensory overload, and people have been shocked too many times. This is a film that says quite simply, yes.
It's an example of the fact that probably one of the most powerful pressures on teenagers is peer pressure. And if everybody is keeping it quiet, then everybody keeps it quiet, even though nobody really made the decision. It's scary. Coming up next, 10 great directors provide their own, often very strange interpretations of great operatic arias. And later in the show, we'll be reviewing one of Jon Voight's great undiscovered performances.
She's being disciplined.
She's 13 years old.
Box office flops that we think are good movies worth renting. I'm going to go for a sentimental movie, an old-fashioned film called 84 Charing Cross Road, about the long-distance relationship between a London used bookseller, Anthony Hopkins, and a voracious New York writer and reader, portrayed by Anne Bancroft. The two carry on a correspondence that draws them closer together in the name of fine literature.
Ah. Some time ago, you asked us for Newman's idea of a university.
Very nice indeed.
Would you be interested in a copy of the first edition? We put that on one side for Miss Hanford.
He has a first edition of Newman's University for $6. Do I want it, he asks innocently.
84 Charing Cross Road is actually based on a true story that spanned 20 years. It's one of the most beautiful love stories about lovers who, it turns out, never meet. Bancroft and Hopkins are both fine, as is the whole mood of the bookstore in which he works. It's a film that honestly earns its every emotion. I really like this.
Well, this is one that you liked better than I did, and I finally, in fact, gave it thumbs down because I felt that the whole nature of the long-distance relationship worked better on the stage where I first saw it, where the two people are actually there on the stage even though they never met, than in movies, which are a more realistic medium, where you keep wanting to say, why doesn't she get on the plane and go to London?
Okay, but Roger, that's where you have a special thing. It's like the old story that the film is not as good as the book. I venture to say, if you had come to this thing clean as I did, I think you would have gone for this picture. I know you have a love of books, of bookstores, and love stories.
What you're trying to say is that the more knowledge I have, the less qualified I am to have an opinion.
I'm saying that you are in a special case in this situation.
Well,
it's very hard for a film. It's very hard for a film to live up to a book, and it's very hard for a film to live up to a play.
Well,
I am saying
that. In that case, this film didn't live up to my standards for a good movie either, because I felt the whole structure was extremely frustrating.
I enjoyed it a great deal.
Okay, my next home video is named Aria, and this is one of the most intriguing musical experiments of recent years, even though I have heard many of these arias on the stage in the operas from which they were taken. A producer named Don Boyd recruited 10 different directors, all of them known for their very distinctive visual styles, and asked each one of them to provide the visuals for a famous operatic aria. The results are astonishing. Here, for example, is the work of a newcomer named Frank Rodham. Here's the British bad boy, Ken Russell. And rock video maverick, Julian Temple. And the other directors on this movie include Jean-Luc Godard, Bruce Beresford, and Nicholas Roeg. Aria is the kind of movie you can watch like an album almost, or use it as a kind of short subject, sort of a warm-up, one aria before every main feature. The movie looks good and the music sounds great, and it's available, by the way, not only on tape but also on Laserdisc, so that you can kind of use the chapter search thing to go to whatever aria you want to listen to.
I liked about 3/4 of them, which I think is what you mentioned in your original review, the picture. My favorite was the Godard film about the lover and the violence and all that. Some of them work. Compilation films are very difficult because you want the good ones to go on. I mean, here I am watching this Godard aria, or portrayal of it, and then it stops, and I feel cheated because I'm into something that I might not like. But as these things go, this one works.
What I liked particularly was the way that many of the directors were able to move right outside the world of the opera the aria came from. For example, that scene in Las Vegas with the two young lovers in the motel room. just had a kind of a purity and a visual impact that I really thought was...
No, I think it's great that the filmmakers just completely forgot the whole opera tradition.
Coming up next, a sexy political film with a provocative title, The Unbearable Lightness of Being.
Are you afraid of women, Doctor?
Of course.
It's on my list of the best movies of 1988. It didn't do the business it deserved at the box office, but I think The Unbearable Lightness of Being will have a long life on home video. Based on the novel by Milan Kundera, it was the first film directed by Philip Kaufman after his great astronaut saga, The Right Stuff, another movie that didn't do what it deserved to do at the box office.
But it did get seen. It is very popular at renting.
It became a #1 renter, and maybe this one will too. It tells the story of a doctor in Czechoslovakia at the time of the 1968 Russian invasion. Daniel Day-Lewis plays the doctor who has an understanding with a woman artist who shares his desire for a physical relationship without any commitment.
I've got to go.
Don't you ever spend the night at the woman's place?
Never.
That relationship is okay as far as it goes, but then the doctor meets a woman that he truly loves. And the question is, will his selfishness force him to try to keep both women?
I had a dream. I was at her place. Sabina's in a studio. And you were making love to her. In that big bed of hers. And you made me stand by a wall. And not move at all. You made me watch.
The Unbearable Lightness of Being has politics all through it, not only because of the Russian invasion, but also because of the politics of sex as practiced by the hero. He is good and brave and brilliant, but is he honest with himself or with the people that he loves? In the course of exploring that question, Phil Kaufman creates the most erotic film since Last Tango in Paris. That's for sure. It's also one of the most thoughtful.
I agree with you. I think that the film is not an easy film for people to understand. You've got this whole set of relationships going on. You've got this whole political climate. The melding the two is challenging, but there is a symmetry to be found there in terms of commitment to trying to have it all, what seems to be an easy life, and yet the difficulty of making a commitment. I think the two stories do mesh together. People want their movies, I'm afraid, easily handed to them. The studios want to make them easily handed to people, and this is a film that cuts across.
I totally disagree with your feeling that this movie is not an easy film. And that...
I think it is.
It's a completely easy film. There is nothing in this film that is difficult. The thing that threw people off was the fact that it was about Czechoslovakia. I mean, we could even tell them it's in English, you know. You don't have to read subtitles. This movie is easy. It's about a man, two women, and a revolution. What could be simpler than that?
No, Roger, what I'm saying is that there are two... Listen, they would make the story either about the politics or they would make the story about the romance. And that's the way this normal film would go.
I think the average viewer is probably just about sophisticated enough to be able to figure out both of them.
Yeah, it's not that I'm saying that viewers are stupid. I am saying that they have been fed a diet of simplistic films that are rendering them stupid, and that this film's complexity comes as a shock, and maybe that's why it didn't do so well. I think its pleasures can be found, the symmetry in the stories can be found. It's a film to be enjoyed. My last pick is Desert Bloom, a wonderful coming-of-age picture about a young girl growing up in Nevada at the time of the testing of the atomic bomb. Annabeth Gish plays the girl who bears witness to a changing world inside herself as a young girl and among those in her family. Jo Beth Williams and John Voight play her mother and stepfather.
What did you do to my radio?
Nothing. I didn't do anything.
You've been in my room, haven't you?
No.
You're a lie. Go to your room.
I didn't do anything. Star's not finished fitting my dress.
You don't need a dress. You're not going anywhere.
That's not fair.
What did you say to me?
It's not fair.
Annabeth Gish is wonderful. The film's sense of time and place may seem distant, but the turmoil of adolescence and the ability of a spirited young person to conquer her environment and bloom is both a beautiful story and a challenge to parents and young people everywhere. Desert Bloom was a most unfairly overlooked film. I don't know if this picture lasted a week in theaters. It's a terrific
You
story.
know, I think a lot of people have it confused with Desert Hearts, which was a totally different kind of movie that took place kind of in a similar period in the same place. Desert Bloom. It's a movie in which Jon Voight, within his own character, is so much in a turmoil because of the nuclear testing, the Red Scare, the warnings that he gets on the radio. He's always got that radio on. It always seems to be warning him that horrible things are going to happen. He feels surrounded. And this
he doesn't notice his daughter. I mean,
that's right. Little girl is growing up in an atmosphere, in a fortress mentality, basically.
I think you got to remember, though, that this movie is about this little girl growing up in this kind of fortress, and Annabeth Gish is a really wonderful performer, and she proved it again in a film called Mystic Pizza.
She was terrific in that film.
We've given people now a list of a whole bunch of different kinds of pictures to see. We got cop pictures, romances, Made in Heaven, 84 Charing Cross Road, Unbearable, Lightness of Being. There's a lot to choose from.
That's it for this week. Next week, we're going to be back with reviews of new movies opening in theaters, and until then, the balcony is closed.
Raisinets and Goobers are playing everywhere, starring plump, juicy raisins and great golden peanuts. Both now feature creamy Nestle milk chocolate. Allergies are not a big problem with fast-acting Benadryl, the most prescribed allergy medication ever. For heartburn, you can rely on great-tasting, calcium-rich Rolaids. Rolaids, relief never tasted so good. Use as directed. Tappan SureCook Space Saver Microwave is perfect for kitchens where space is at a premium. Tappan Touch Solid State Controls automatic temperature probe and wood grain decor furnished by Tappan.